welcome to Lovin' Life's Journey DIY. I'm Chantel and I'm so glad you're here. Today I am doing my intro in my husband Chris's office because I am going to show you how to make a chair mat that will last for years. I know that a lot of people are working from home or have home offices now, and those plastic chair mats that you buy are crummy, especially if you want to use them on carpet. They just don't last. They crack, they get brittle, and they break, and we were replacing them all the time. So 10 years ago, I made this chair mat for my husband, and it is just now needing some TLC. So I thought I would show you how to make a chair mat that will last for years and years, even when you use it on carpet. So let's jump in and get started.
The first thing you will need is a 4 foot by 4 foot piece of wood. I used 7/32 inch flooring underlayment, and I wanted mine to be a little sturdier, so I doubled it and I just glued two pieces together. And that made it sturdy enough because we were going to use ours on carpet that had padding underneath it, so it needed to be sturdy. But if you were just using this on a hard floor or even maybe carpet that didn't have any padding, you could probably just use one layer of the wood. And I'm also using peel and stick tiles. I picked up this box at Home Depot for about $30. And you used to be able to buy them individually, and you only need 16 tiles, but I had to buy a box of 30 now because I couldn't find them individually anywhere. So my original floor mat was made with tiles that had a 10-year warranty, and literally after 10 years, they started to chip in a couple of places, but this floor mat, I could not believe that it lasted for 10 years. So now I am going to actually use this same mat and flip it over and put my new tiles on it. So I had a few little hard glue drips from the first time I made this on the back side, so I'm scraping those off, and then I'm going to sand any rough places down. So you will want to prep your wood and sand it a little bit and just make sure it's nice and smooth and doesn't have any splinters. And then make sure that you take a damp rag and wipe off all of the sawdust and make sure it's nice and clean, and then make sure that it's dried completely before you start putting your tiles on. I'm going to start at one corner, and you literally just peel the paper backing off of these and then stick it down. It's super easy, and the tiles that I chose are pretty thick and not very thin, flimsy. So I originally had purchased some off of Amazon and they were super flimsy. I ended up sending them back. So make sure you get good quality tiles so that your floor mat will last a long time. And then I'm just going to continue putting my tiles on. And at first when I stick them on, I'm not pressing them down super hard, just so that if I want to reposition it, I can. This first row, you especially want to make sure you get it nice and straight because you're going to be kind of lining up the rest of your tiles with this first row. So I did have to pull it up a little bit and reposition it. So just stick it down lightly until you have it right in the right position. And then once we get all the tiles on, I'll show you how to stick them down a little bit more to get them to stay. So the pattern of tile that I chose is very random. There's not really a set pattern, but there were tiles that looked exactly the same. So I did just kind of lay them out so that they looked nicely together and didn't have like two or three tiles of the same pattern right next to each other. And when I got to this final row, I did notice that I had about 1/8 of an inch of the tile hanging over the edge. And so I am actually going to trim my tiles so that they are flush on the edges, so that they are just the same size as the wood. And these are really easy to trim. All you need to do is just mark what you need to trim off, and then I just used this straight edge and a razor knife to score it about 4 or 5 times, and then you can just very carefully break off the excess. And you just want to make sure that you have it scored well enough that you don't uh, break the tile part that you want to keep. So you want to get a nice clean break, but it actually worked really well. And if your wood piece is a true 4 foot by 4 foot size, you shouldn't need to trim your tiles. I think that when we cut ours, we didn't really think about the width of the saw blade, and so it actually made it just a little bit smaller than the 4 foot by 4 foot. So I did trim my tiles because if you have a little bit of it hanging over, then it can chip and break if you step on it. So that's why I trimmed mine, and it really wasn't that hard, and I just think it makes the finished product so much nicer. So then I just repeated that with the remaining tiles until I had all of my board covered with the tiles. So like I said, for a 4 by 4 piece of wood, it took 16 tiles. Now that I have all of my tiles in place, I am just going to take my rolling pin and I am going to go over the tiles, especially on the seams, multiple times, just pressing pretty hard just to get these stuck down. The adhesive on these tiles is very sticky and they will stick well, and then they kind of get a stronger bond after they sit for a long time. But you want to make sure that you have the seams all down well, that you don't have any of the corners or edges sticking up. So this was the best way that I found, just to go over it and make sure everything was stuck down. To make sure the mat doesn't slide around on the floor, I picked up a couple of these non-slip rug underlays from Dollar Tree, and these worked really well for keeping it in place. I think this looks great, and now Chris is ready to go for another 10 years. I do have detailed instructions on how to make this on my blog, so I will put that link in the description box below. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. That really helps my channel and helps other people to see this video as well. And if you haven't subscribed yet, be sure to hit that subscribe button and stick around for lots more budget-friendly DIYs. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you all have a blessed day.